time with the comments.
Yeah, you were.
All right. Yes, we're live.
We are live.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to the Musty Wargamers, episode 14?
It is
Season
episode
6.
14, season 6, episode 14.
All right. There we go. Which means that it says Dan brought up the comments. That means he's actually on the channel, right? The live stream.
Yeah, I clicked on the comments because sometimes I forget to do that.
I don't think we have any comments yet, but we do have some folks in the house, it looks like.
Yeah. Let me look here. The live show. Is it live yet? Not yet. Well, it's not showing live for me yet.
Mine shows
It's
live,
live.
40,
It's
50
live.
seconds. 50
Yep.
seconds. Yep.
All right.
And it's happening.
There we go.
Nice.
There we go. Now I got it live. Okay. We're cooking with fire now.
After 14 episodes and 6 seasons, you're starting to get your smooth on.
I like myself a box of rocks, man. So how's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Member of the Vesperados running around in your Grom today?
Yeah, I did that yesterday. I actually ride about every other time on my little bike compared to my big bike.
Yeah.
I call it a big bike. But
You
it's,
got two
know,
bikes? Wow.
I do, yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I got one, and it's just a little thing I learned on, but they're a lot of fun, and they're like one of the most popular bikes in the world as far as sales, as far as motorcycles. But it's just it is a motorcycle. It's not like a moped, but it is like a small engine, just a small 125cc. And I ride it around the neighborhood just for fun because I learned on it and I just enjoy it. It's just so easy to ride. And then I also go on my main bike, which I would call it would be the one if I could only have one. It would be that one just because I can ride it on the highway and take it long distance, more like touring if I need to, off a little bit off onto the gravel roads and stuff. It's that sort of design.
So you could road trip with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a V-Strom 650.
Yeah,
Suzuki.
that's the.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's a really, like, in the motorcycle world, it's a fairly common. It's been around for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, the design. I remember when I sold them way back in the day.
Who's the manufacturer then?
Suzuki.
Okay.
His midget car is the Honda
Grom. Yeah,
Honda
it's
Grom.
fun. It's actually really popular.
I remember when you said you got that.
Yeah. It's real popular with the kids that like to do tricks and stuff and like wheelies and like hooligan around town. And sometimes people ride packs of like 20 to 30 bikes at a time on them because people love them. Like they have a huge following. But
Okay.
I just ride it around, around town a little bit just for fun. And I love the bike. It's a single cylinder. And even though it's at 125, it's got this nice little grunt to it when I'm revving the engine. And I just love it overall. It's just something about it I just really like.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Vesperado.
Troublemaker.
Yeah.
He's out hooliganing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's isn't the seat about the same height as your other bike?
No, but you are right that it is tall. Like, it's nowhere near the height of the V-Strom, but it does, for the size of the bike, it is proportioned high. So like you do feel like you're riding at a decent height, given the size of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the bike I want to get is a V-Strom also, but it's a 1050.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's a nurse, and I don't think she would let me get a bike.
Well, you had to make sure you had a bike way back in the day before you got married.
Yeah. I missed my window then.
So, other than Palmer romping around on his two bikes, what have you guys been up to hobby-wise?
You want to go first, Dan?
Sure. Kind of, the same old thing, how I do, but I did finish the next group of 8, the British regiment I was working on. and got most of the base coats on the last set of 8, which is the command, basically the command group. And then I found out that they are going to go ahead. The numbers are way down for that Bug Eater tournament next weekend, not this Memorial weekend, but the following weekend. But they're still going to have it if we were interested in still participating. And I said, yeah, I just like to get some games in, and I've got the time lined up to do it. So,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, so I was excited about that. I mean, I don't care if there's, if there's 40 people there, I don't play all 40 of the people anyway, just, to get the 5 games in is all I care. And they're doing a slightly different format this year with, you have to bring 2 lists, a 500-point combat patrol and a 1,000-point list. And then the first game is just the 500 combat patrol. Second game is your 1,000. Third is your 1,000. And then the fourth is combined, where your 1,000-point comes in reserve. So it's different each game like that. So that's kind of interesting. But anyway, that being said, yeah. So then I had the army all done. And so then this week I've been, I always try to take a display board. You need something anyway to kind of set the army on when you're, between games and stuff. And I'd already had something in mind. I just hadn't pursued it to the full extent because I thought, well, I wasn't going to waste a bunch of hobby time on that if we weren't doing the tournament. So
yeah.
So I've been working on that, and that's what I'm going to be kind of working on tonight to get that kind of close to finish.
So did I hear you right that there's going to be 40 bolt action players?
No, the most they've had 30 some bolt action players there, and then it was down. I'm trying to remember if in the COVID year they still even had it because it wasn't until June, and things were getting a little better. You had to mask and they spread the tables out. I don't think it was canceled any of the years. But last year numbers were down quite a bit. I think last year they're down to only like 19 or something, which is still a nice amount,
Yeah.
But for some reason this year, I think there's only a handful of people. Again, for a variety of reasons. A couple people that I know always go. I had some personal family things that there was no way they could go. So there's probably a variety of reasons. But so I am thinking this year there's going to be less than 10 this year.
Okay. Well, that's still
which I like. I mean, I'm fine with it anyway. The main point is to get some games in. If there was just 2 of us and we're playing each other 5 times, I mean, I don't know if I'd do that, but it'd be a different opponent each game. There's enough of us to mix up.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. So that's kind of what I've been trying to kind of pedal kind of hard to get this. I always try to make it look kind of decent, but like I said, you need something, a tray or something, cookie tray to set them on. So kind of fun to make a little presentation out of it. So
what army are you taking?
I'm taking my Soviets.
Okay.
Which I've only played 1 game with them. Mark came over right before lambing there, and the only game I played him in since Bug Eater last year, since June last year, and played it I think we played 1250. Had a great time. Of course, we always have fun anyway. And I just had a list that had a little bit of everything. I tend not to go really hardcore, power game to, just really math the list out. I kind of go with what looks like it'd be fun to play, a nice variety of units and stuff. And so it'll be only the second time I've played them. First time that I'll play some of the units that I'm going to take, but that'll make it fun.
What kind of vehicles you taking with this little army?
Well, with the combat patrol, it's 500 points. You're required for all of your infantry to be able to be mounted, either on motorcycles, on trucks, jeeps, whatever.
Okay.
So I'm taking two trucks that can carry 12 guys apiece, and then I'm taking 24 infantry, kind of build the squads and units so that they can split between the 2 trucks. And then since it's only 1,000-point list, when I built this list, they've been doing 1250 each year, and I wanted to take my KV2, but that's a 300-point drop, and I just really couldn't find the points to build a list without. I mean, I've seen online where people have done that, but it didn't look like a lot of fun for me. So I'm taking a T-34, just the bare bones T-34, not the T-34-85. So that saved me a bunch of points to kind of flesh everything out. Taking some dog bomb squads and some scout squads and the people's militia squad. Just a huge variety of cool, fun things to play. And
Nice.
I think it'll be to be competitive enough. But usually, and it might be a whole different crowd this year. But a lot of times, there's some of the people that come, these clubs that come from further away, and they play all the time. They really build these lists that are really tough to handle if you don't know really what you're doing. But they won't be here this year, so it'll be. And I think one of the players was going to participate. He actually even hadn't played a game yet, so that it's really, that's,
oh wow,
typically that's the environment for the most part. There are a few pretty competitive people that come to play, which again is fine, whether some of the same group of people kind of win each year, but that's really not the point to me anyways.
right.
Sometimes it's not a lot of fun. I have played a couple games where I got tabled. I mean, it was brutal. Some of it was bad luck, and some of it was just I was that much outclassed by their list. But for the most part, they're always really fun games and quite a variety of experience and ages. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. How about you, Palmer? What have you been up to?
Well, let's see. I don't think since the last show I've played a game.
Wow.
Did I tell?
You were going to.
Actually,
more time or
probably
something.
not true. Maybe I played right after the show. I played. I played a Mordheim game, and I'm
That's
not
what
sure.
You had planned, yeah.
And I played that, and that was really good. Like a first game of a campaign that was starting, and then that was good. And my Beastmen lost, but it was funny actually. Like it was kind of the after game is really fun in Mordheim because you have to roll what happens to people that get knocked out of action and stuff. My Centaur got knocked out of action, but then and he got looted. His actual like armor and his light armor and his weapon were looted. And so the next game I have to give him equipment, So I just kind of have this idea that like some Skaven came along and took his stuff, like as he was like knocked out. But then also interestingly, my shaman was out of action, but he actually came back stronger. Like he actually got more experience because he learned something through it, is what they said. So that was kind of cool. I didn't realize you could even benefit in some rare instances. Overall, it was fun. And I picked up a couple of mats. I actually only paid for one. I'm going to do a video on it, but they sent me the wrong one. So I got 2 full-size 6x4 mousepad mats, and one of them's a cobblestone one for future Mordheim games. And
what brand?
And then this is so it's called. I bought it from Table War, and it's a fat mat, I believe.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because it's the same brand that I've been using typically, where they have the little tag on the side that has the picture of your mat, and I'm really happy with them. They are a really solid company, actually. I'm going to kind of do a review on it, talking about my experience with it. But
fun.
I did have, I don't know if I had a Warhammer Fantasy Battle where my Beastmen lost for the first time in a really long time in Warhammer Fantasy, but it was a really good game. It was really close. Okay. And we kind of played a scenario outside of the typical Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but we used the same rules as 6th edition, but it was just kind of like a scenario where you're holding 2 different points, and it was just like this kind of classic scenario. And like my friend's orcs, he did really well with them. Like he really floored me, like tabled me. Like it just turned out that like he just kind of completely tabled me. And in a lot of ways, I brought for the first time my dragon ogres, and they did not perform well on the table. I know that's like what always happens. Like the first time you bring something out, like you plan to lose it, but even though they went in and they went up against night goblins. And the amount of night goblins they went against was, I don't know, I'm guessing they had to have been 40 or more night goblins against the 3 dragon ogres. Like, even though, and this is typical Warhammer Fantasy Battle, is that the mass, when you come in with the mass, you can win through the
ranking up
and all the kinds of different, aspects to it. They were swathing away 7 to 9 goblins per round, but they still would lose, like, they were still losing based on the checks because they just didn't have the rest. And so I have to figure out with them, because they're a great unit. I really love the Dragon Ogres, but I think sometimes, like, going up against a mass like that, they need some additional support. If you're going to use them as a hammer, you need something else in there too, if you're going to go up against something with that many models. And overall, though, it was really good.
How many points did you play? 1,000?
1,000, yeah. Because when we play weeknight games after work, that's about the sweet spot for us. Yeah, because we don't really have time to do longer. But it's a really nice point value. You could bring anywhere from 4 to 7 units depending on what what kind of army you have and how big you want the stuff. And I just find we can get through it in a reasonable period of time, and that's including visiting, like just kind of chatting, having some coffee to start out. And so it's fun. And then as far as painting, I am painting my Marienburg, and so I have what I've done is I've got some of my colors. Like tonight, I'm actually going to go with some metallics. So this is the ogre that I 3D printed.
Yep.
I'm going to start putting in some like flesh tones and metallics. And leather, but I've gotten some of the colors in there of like the way it's going to look. Base paint, not highlighted. And then I've got, this is like my champion. And so he's basically same colors, just slightly different pattern. And then I've got 2 young bloods, this guy here.
Okay.
And then I've got, and I know you can't really see extremely well here, but the colors I do think pop out. And then this guy here.
And I remember you did that video on those. Those are cool sculpts. Those are just really cool sculpts. They look fun to paint.
They did a really nice job with the Mordheim stuff. I think overall it was pretty good. And then I don't know if I showed this on the last show, but I got like 5 or 4 of these guys going of just the glass chunks that I'm going to be painting up.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, I'm going to be. I might be starting those tonight too. I haven't really started them, but just putting some of the dark green down and getting that going too.
So did you just prime them and you're just going to paint them? You didn't try any funky techniques?
Yeah. Like I'm going to try a little bit of glazing and stuff over it, but yeah, like I'm just painting them from scratch.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of me. And then I guess for the Musty drink, we had we made some Italian food this week, and anytime I make Italian food, I got to crack open a bottle of red, and so I still have some of that left. And so I've got a 2019 California Pinot Noir. I don't drink a lot of wine on the Musty show, but I do like wine with dinner, and at times, not every night, but like when I'm having Italian food for sure, or even like East Indian food or something, I oftentimes like to have some red wine.
Yeah, it pairs well. Yeah, we do that sometimes.
Yeah, so that's me.
Nice.
I've never been a dark red wine guy.
I like both. I mean, I like whites, and I like reds quite a bit. Looks like we got a couple people stop by on the show.
Yeah, we do. We have Eric just pulled into the house.
Hello.
Truck. He was down here in Des Moines.
Is that his new campaign course TV?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing that campaign system.
That Vietnam campaign, right?
Yeah. And I did share it on the Musty Wargamers to let people know about it.
I watched this video and that sounded so cool. It's just I had no time to commit to anything there, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, I don't have anything that they were playing Vietnam, and I was like, I don't have anything Vietnam that related.
I don't have a single thing.
Yeah, so I didn't want to have to go out and spend a lot of money to actually get involved into something. So that's why I said, sorry. Would like to, but
I know
we've got Annex on the show.
Hey,
thanks for joining me again.
Yeah, and we got Heresy Productions in the house.
Oh, that guy, we can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
Annex is a fellow Calgarian.
Oh, okay. Is he one of your guys, Palmer?
Actually, I think we both know Brad. Never met him in real life.
Okay.
Real life. This isn't real.
Yeah, I know, right? I was gonna say, woo.
What is
real? Yeah, he has a channel, actually, YouTube channel, and does lots of stuff.
Okay. Well, what's his channel? Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah.
Why do I not know that? I got to write that down.
It's pretty simple.
So I remember to look.
I do
what kind
have
of stuff does he do?
I'm not now. Correct me. I haven't been, as you guys know, I haven't been putting up videos. I'm not sure. I don't know that I actually played Mordheim with Brad ever. Actually, like I actually have never played Mordheim with the group at Century. So maybe you're confusing me with somebody else, unless you were playing Mordheim and I happened to stop by a table years ago or something just to say hi. That might have happened if it was like Century Box. But I feel like I know you just through YouTube, which that kind of happens.
Yeah, that's weird.
When
Yeah,
you see people a lot and stuff. But I don't think he's making videos currently, but he, was making more videos than me last year, I think.
Still has a channel though. Yeah, I'll check it out.
I think he was making more videos than me last year. Like I've been really limping along for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I have too, actually.
Yeah, he did say that I think he met you once, and I met Brad while he was playing Mordheim with somebody.
Oh, maybe I actually got that confused.
Yeah. He says, I'm not currently active. Well, the videos that you've had done are still up. So
yeah, I'll check him out. I know he's been in the show a few times in the comments, but I didn't recognize it, and I didn't know he had a channel, so I was glad to hear that.
What's ROSD?
Ranger of Shadow Deep.
Oh wow, okay. You are good. I would not have gotten that.
We have to have the game show. Name that acronym of something like Song of Ice and Fire. Like it has their own acronym too. Like all these games that I've not played them actually, but I know that well enough.
But you know them.
It's supposed to be really good. Actually, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen Rangers of Shadow Deep. Anything related to it anywhere.
A Song of B and H. So is that not Ice and Fire? Maybe I thought it was Ice and Fire, but maybe that's the books, and maybe they named the game something else. Oh, wait, what is that one?
Okay. Shoot.
ASOBH. When I look at stuff is all jumbled up anyway, it doesn't make sense to me.
I know when I was first getting into like even board gaming, any of that, you get into those groups and they all do, they all talk in acronyms.
Advanced Squad Leader.
A song of Blades and Heroes, he said.
A Song of Blades and Heroes?
Yeah, I don't even know that one.
I never even
I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but I don't know it.
Huh.
But I have heard of it.
Huh.
Whoa.
You know what I was really surprised about today? I was perusing. I joined a Mordheim Facebook group, which is a hugely big group, and it's not their trading group, but it's their the actual their overall game, support community. And somebody just said, "Okay, everybody, what games do you play besides Mordheim?" And I always, in a lot of ways, particularly Warhammer Fantasy Battle 6th Edition, but I always make this assumption that the real diehard people that play some of these old games, they're pretty much only playing that. They're just playing Warhammer. They're just playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle and that's it. But actually, and it might be that that's the case. And it's funny because one person, when I quickly looked through the comments, had said no, because the question was, do you play any other, games and what? And somebody wrote no, but the vast majority of people played, I would say, between 5 and 10 games. When they listed what they play, I was like, wow. I was like, even in these niche things where people are painting, just to paint that world, and they're so engrossed, some of the folks into it. Even then, they're still saying I play things like Marvel Crisis Protocol, not even things that I thought in that group they would say that's the game. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. I also thought it was in some ways a little depressing, and it's not that what other people do should really affect me or depress me. I'm just sort of it's kind of a joke, but it's just I was like, oh man, how do you have all the time to do all of that and to get so deep into this? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting. Now Rusty's in the room, so he might have some things to say about that, because you play a lot of things, I think, over time. Not at once.
Time. I've played a lot of games over the years, but we seem to go from one system to play until someone gets sick of it and decides they don't want to play anymore or don't want to play with this anymore.
Mhm.
Uh,
I don't want to play anymore with you.
you guys, I'm taking my toys and going.
You hurt my feelings.
But no, it kind of just varies. I always have stuff on the back burner that I'm always willing to play. It's like, hey, let's say someone wants to play Battletech, I'm there. Okay.
Well, you know what I was thinking recently is, granted, I do feel like I need to get inspired again to paint the miniatures, even though they're wonderful miniatures. But I, with all this Mordheim stuff I'm doing, I'm like, well, I should just break out burrows and badgers at a certain point because I have all the terrain now. Like, you know, like I can use
Right.
like I can use Mordheim stuff for burrows and badgers. Like you just say, oh, this is ruined city, you know, and you're playing burrows and badgers. You just use those rules and those miniatures, right? It'll be fine. And
But
so
you
yeah,
could
like
just use. You've got generic terrain too, Palmer. Just trees and fences and rock walls and things.
yeah,
for
not
you.
only that. I mean,
Yeah.
I know this will probably give you a heart attack, Dan, or maybe I don't know. Like, but like, you know, like the foreground World War II houses,
Yeah.
they're really kind of generic.
Yeah.
You know, like you can
Yeah,
almost use those
really.
for things that are outside of World War II. Like they don't look like Belgian houses that are like really specific, or the Russian houses. You know what I mean? Like there's some
Yeah.
that look very specific, but like the ones that I have that I think I don't know if they're supposed to be France or Belgium. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be, but they work. Even I've used them for sci-fi games. Like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it just depends on how picky you are. Like, I know you spend a lot of time
Yeah, I
doing
really
things
like.
very specific.
But you know, that's also I don't play many games, so I mean, you gotta pick and choose there. But yeah, I would agree with that. And basically, even a lot of European buildings, you know, even if it's just timber and frame, you can use those and clear from medieval, clear through.
Oh yeah,
Into basically almost into modern, as long as it's not in the cityscape thing. But
absolutely.
yeah, it's Rusty's up there doing the wave.
Your turn. It's your turn, Rusty. I'm done. Like, sorry. We just started the show.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I'm still here, guys.
I'm just like, hey, okay. All right. So I've been kind of busy this week. I did get these guys all done.
Yeah, I watched your
Nice.
video. Yeah,
I haven't seen
yeah.
the video yet, but I did see it in the stream right before the show come up because I haven't been on YouTube. I think you put it up yesterday, right?
Yeah, it came up
late last
yesterday.
night, right? Yeah.
Yeah, late last night. So I got these guys all finished up. You know, you've seen them enough. So if you want to go see them, look at
They're nice.
my video. You can see
Yeah.
them. It's about time. You know, it's taking me forever to work on them. But those are guys that are going to get boxed up and ready to go out the door.
Nice.
I've been busy with the 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now that you got it fixed, you've been on fire again.
Yeah, it's like I got a white scout car.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think that
out.
was when I saw.
Yeah,
I don't have one of those, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might just print off another one and then put a red star on it instead of a white star.
Yep. I would do that, yeah.
And then, because it doesn't cost me much to print them off, it's like maybe at 75 cents to possibly.
Wow, that'll dip into your allowance.
Yeah, and then I got this BTR 40 for my North Koreans.
That's cool looking.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice little car. You know, that's going to be doing some work on that tonight. Hot off the press today, we got this guy.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
is
great.
sweet.
That's
Pershing.
my Pershing. That's for my Americans, which will be for either extremely late war Americans bolt action for World War II, or it will be fit right in for Korea.
Yeah, because you have a good Korean force.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
it's like the North Koreans could show up with their T-34-85 and this thing will go, sure, whatever.
Sure, bring it. Yeah.
It was like I watched a video of the first time that the Persian engaged the T-34-85, and they shot at 334.85, and they thought they missed because the round hit the back of the hill behind it.
Went right through it.
Went
Wow.
right through it, like in one side and out the other. You know, it's like,
Oh man.
which is kind of typical what you find with any type of Russian equipment. It's like,
Still seems to be a problem.
yeah, it's when you read the accounts in the Gulf War, it's like we'd shoot a T-72 with our 120 and it's go in through one side and out the back.
Yeah, that makes you feel safe.
And then I got these big, beefy, blocky parts I got to work on. Might put some paint on these tonight too. Which
Is that the base for?
Yes, this is part of the
What's her
base.
face?
There's more of the base.
Are those solid?
No, they're I
Okay.
printed them hollow.
Okay, thank you. Whew.
And I was like, yeah, it's like if you would
That's a lot
print
of
those things up solid, it would be like a one like $20-something because it's almost
Yeah.
complete. It's like here's the complete base. It goes together.
Okay. Yep.
So there's that, and
That's
this
cool.
is what goes on it. A little itty bitty model,
Yeah. Life
Electra
size.
Awesome.
from Marvel.
How many pieces was that? Like,
Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces.
okay. So, did it push your print bed to the limit or no?
Parts of it did. Just like one leg, you know, when you're looking at a leg is, you know, that long with
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
So you got to kind of angle it so it's like that, which takes a
Okay.
long time because it's printing it layered like that.
Right.
So if you were more flat, it wouldn't take very long, but it took like 17 hours to print the leg.
Wow.
The nice thing about resin printing versus the filament printing is that if it is just length, like in width, it's the same amount of time no matter how much, like, because it just basically shines a light and cures it all at once. But you still have to do the travel up and down, and that's why like what Rusty's saying. But on a filament printer, if it is a lot of travel left and right, like length and width, then you do actually have the extra time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see.
So here's
That makes sense.
it's sitting on the base.
Nice.
And everything.
Jeez, what a monster.
That is a good one to do with Daredevil. Like, it's a perfect.
Yeah.
You have to buy paint in gallons.
I buy it by the Walmart special. It's called Apple Barrel.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple Barrel is actually pretty good for large models like this.
Is it better than like for whatever reason, just because it's handy, I go to Hobby Lobby, I guess, and they have like the Anita's acrylics and the Declart Americana and stuff, and
It's pretty similar.
Is it very similar? I mean, the bottles look the same, but
Yeah. I think it's like 79 cents at Walmart.
okay, it's that cheapest one. So that'd be like their Americana line is 70 some cents also. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it works out the same because the Daredevil that I painted, if you've seen that on
Yep.
video, I painted it with the Apple Barrel paints.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They always act
Everybody
like
kind of poo-poos on it, but
yeah.
it's like you can't put one layer down and expect it to be good. You got to keep layering. It's fairly opaque, so you got to add layer after layer on it. So.
Yeah, because that's what I use for all my terrain. That's what I'm painting right now, is using those paints, and I like them for that. And you can get some cool effects even using that to your advantage.
Yeah, that's pretty much
occasionally
what it's used for. It's like I buy it for the big giant bottles for when I do terrain up.
Yep, Tim just jumped in the house. Broken dice. Hey Tim.
Hey Tim. Now my drink of night is Jameson.
I applaud that. Well done. That's always one of my top favorites.
Yeah, it's a go-to.
Yeah, that is so good.
I have like 10 bottles of it. So
Is it their standard, or is it like one with something mixed in?
this is just a standard. I do have it cost like when they have the Hy-Vee has their
Yeah, my daughter
liquor
goes to that and gets me stuff. Yeah.
the liquor
Talking
sale.
about, oh, okay.
I can buy a bottle that it was for when I bought this, it was like $15 a bottle.
Yeah.
So I just bought a bunch of it. It's like, oh, if it's going to be $15 a bottle, I'm just going to buy.
You ever
freaking
tried the
case.
Jameson, the orange?
Yes, I do have that for mixing. That's
Yes. My daughter got
use
me
it.
that for my birthday. That was good.
I
I
like
put
the
that
stout.
in my Long Island iced teas and stuff like that.
Sure.
I like the stout one, the one that's got the Jameson that's in the stout casks. It's really
Okay,
nice.
I've never tried that one.
Yeah, yes. I did show you the picture of it last night because Eric and I were sitting down. We'd spent 3.5 hours chatting away
Cool.
before we had to say, we got to stop or else we're going to
Yeah.
fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I
I
showed
forgot he was isn't he in Iowa now?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot that. I remember that.
He's about 20 minutes away, 25 minutes away from where our parents live.
Wow. Yeah, because he's over clear in the northeastern part, right?
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. That's what I remember. Because when he said he's moving to Iowa, I'm like, you almost couldn't be further from me and still be in the same state. But
Well, when he lived over in the Black Hills, it was still like 10 hours away.
mhm.
And now he lives in Iowa, and he's still he's about 5.5 hours away from you.
Yeah. Yep. That's cool. That's cool. You got to get together with him.
I love the janky super Persian look. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's just iconic. I mean, that's the toy tank we all played with as kids. In our age
I know.
bracket.
I had a bunch of them. Green Army Men. That was I've designed my first war game was using Green Army Men and those
Oh
things.
gosh, I played hours and hours with those. We'd go outside and make forts and bomb them with rocks.
Rubber
Yeah.
bands.
We use
We
BB
put
guns.
Lincoln logs. Oh yeah, you would. Oh, Chris is Walkabout Games is in. Hey, Chris.
Hey,
Hi to
Chris.
Chris. And yeah, it was about 3.5 hours because I think we got together about 6 o'clock and somewhere in there, and I think we closed the place out.
Jeez.
We had a couple guys showed up that started talking.
Oh, okay. You're a bit of a night owl anyway, Rusty.
What's that?
You're a bit of a night owl anyway. Usually when
Yeah.
we talk, it's like after 11 at night.
Yeah, there's been a few times it's been even later than that.
Yeah, it's been later than that. Sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm not.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 3:30 last night or this morning when I went to bed.
Well, I never seem to get much done when I'm sleeping, so I just can't. I can't do that.
Yeah, it's like I'll sleep enough when I die.
Yeah, I got so much I want to do. Can't be wasting too much time laying there comatose.
Yeah, I'd say there's just not enough time in a day. Why waste it while you're sleeping?
Yeah, exactly. Minimum amount you can get by with.
Yeah, it's like I went to bed at 3:30 and I woke up a little bit before 8. I just can't sleep anymore. I got to get up,
Yeah.
do a workout, and get on with the day. All right.
Make it happen.
We do have a couple topics we can talk about if you want to.
Betcha.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We have plenty of topics. Get to the topics.
We just can't ever stay on topic is usually the problem,
Yeah.
which is good too.
Yeah, there's a new Arnold movie coming out, I think tomorrow on Netflix.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, called Fubar.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Cool. I haven't seen a movie in the theaters since Top Gun.
Oh, that's still somewhat recent. Relative.
Yeah,
Last
was it
year?
last summer or something.
Yeah, I haven't been in a theater since.
Last week.
Yeah, it might have been last week.
Monday.
Uh, I want to see the Guardians movie still. I'm allergic to crowds. Like I like to wait for it to calm down a bit.
What's more enjoyable to watch the movie? Because people are getting up, wandering around, talking,
Yeah.
laughing.
Oh man, we went to the Guardians movie the second weekend that it was open,
Mhm.
and we were expecting. Usually, after the second weekend, it's not as crowded. It
Right.
was still crowded.
Mhm.
The place was packed. But the most interesting thing about the whole going to the whole movie was there was a individual, a gentleman, brought his grandkid, or I think it might have been, and throughout the whole movie, he was just sitting right behind us, snoring away.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, you come to a movie and you're sleeping? You could just hear him snoring.
Yeah.
And his young kid that he brought was sitting there constantly kicking my chair. Like,
Fun.
and I'm like, I finally just turned around when he wasn't snoring, and I said, "Hey, knock it off." And he was like, "Huh? Stop kicking my chair."
Get off my lawn.
Hello, punk. Don't make me come over there.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, it happens every once in a while. You get kind of a bad experience. But the movie was good. I enjoyed it.
Usually by the time I get to the movie, it's like we're going because we know it's leaving like next week. So it's like, it's now or never.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
That's how
we're
it seems to work.
one of the few in the theater. Our small town actually has a theater that has like 4 screens. They're not big rooms, but it works. So that's where we go.
Is that Harlan?
Yeah. They've had a theater in that little tiny town as long as I can remember.
Who runs it? Do you know?
Just a local couple.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of times. That's some of the best ones to go to.
Yeah, and they always have the new releases. I don't know how they do it, and it's cheaper than dirt. It's like $5 or $6.
It's like we have the AMC's in town, but I never go to those. We go to the Copper Creek over here, which is run by Fridley Theaters, which is fairly large group in Iowa. I went to school with the granddaughter of the original owner, the started everything.
Okay. Chris says he's working on Buford's Cavalry for Gettysburg.
Oh,
that's awesome. What I forget? Are you doing 15 millimeter, Chris, or I can't remember? And then what manufacturer?
Or are you printing your own?
Oh yeah, he might be doing that. But even so, because there is one Matt the Superior or whatever his channel is called. This guy from the UK, I believe. But anyway, he's doing a lot of prints for their 28 millimeter for ACW, and he's really been showing a lot with that. That's been interesting to see.
Yeah, the other day I was looking on see what they had available for like German troops for World War II.
Mm-hmm.
For 28 mil. I didn't find much luck so far looking for stuff. I might have missed it, but a lot of times they don't name stuff exactly the way it should be.
Yeah, it's hard to sometimes find it in this way you would search it. Yeah. I was watching, I see June 1st Brigade Games is doing a Kickstarter. This is like their 4th one for American War of Independence.
Oh, really?
And there's metal models, 28 millimeter, sculpted by Paul Hicks. And those are the ones that I had gotten with that. Yeah, those ones on that giveaway. And nice. So, and I'd ordered a few more here when he had a sale. whatever, a month ago or something. But anyway, and I known he's done the Kickstarters, but I just never backed it. But it's only 10-day Kickstarter. I think it's probably just to get a little cash to up front to get the molds and stuff covered, maybe. But they always fund, and he's been sneak previewing kind of what they are, and I think this time I will. Mostly, it's usually not a huge discount, but as much as I enjoy that line and Paul Hicks and the whole, small private sculptor and a small business that, I'm like, yeah, I want to support that a little bit. So I'm going to probably, just do some small amount with them, but
Cool.
kind of looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Eric said he's been so busy. This is the first time I grabbed a brush in probably 3 weeks. What are you planning on painting? That's the question I have. Just drove in from Des Moines. Yeah, it's about a 4-hour drive, a little over 4 hours. Yeah, to get from Des Moines to where you're located. I made that trip many, many, many times to go see my parents. And you got another almost half an hour farther to go.
Oh yeah, Chris is painting the Warlord games and then doing some prints.
Oh, the 10 mils or 12 mil,
Yeah,
whatever those
13
things are.
and a half. Yeah, it's like, why? That's cool.
Yeah, I guess if I was going to start, and that would be the only thing I would do, that might work out. But when you got other individuals that you might be playing with have 15 mils, it's just like, I can't.
You mean you'd be tempted to go with Warlord Games?
Yeah, just for
minis?
how cheap they are. So
Yeah, the only thing, the one thing that, and this is just me, and it's really like silly, but it bugs the crud out of me that they're using the same scope for the Union and the Confederates, which is that's fine, but for some reason it bothers me that then the Unions aren't all in their keppies.
Oh,
So it looks great for the Confederates to have the mix of hat styles, but it just kind of for some reason that bugs me. But the detail's nice, the price is good. They've got all your bases pretty well covered. I would be more tempted if it was the same, if it was either 10 or 15 where you could, or even 18 where you could use some other manufacturers to add some variety or fill in or use them for, and I know some people have found companies where they match pretty good, but that's kind of a little bit of a disappointment. But and then he does mention, Rusty, that VK has amazing STLs for Germans, he said.
VK, who is that the actual
know.
name of the company, or is it
Von Kettering?
Yeah, I know, that's all I could think of too. I know, right? It doesn't ring a bell with me, so I'll have to tell you. But yeah, now that you can kind of get your printer rocking.
Yeah, because Eric and I were looking at the only historicals we have in the city that you can buy are bolt action. That's at Game Castle. And he bought a couple. I think he bought a German. What was it? It was a 38T, I think it was. That's what he bought.
Oh, okay.
And I've been thinking about
the resin one, or it must be plastic, right?
Plastic. It's plastic.
Surprised they had it.
Painting 15 mil easy 8s for late World War II Korea right now. I'm doing them GHD Red Devil faces.
Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, Eric always takes it to the next level. It's always well researched.
It's got to be historical.
I always appreciate that about what he does.
Actually, it's like fantasy too.
What's that?
He's done fantasy too.
Yep.
In his channel.
Oh yeah, he does Dungeons and Dragons and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I tend to go as generic as possible so they're useful across all kinds of the same way. The only time I went extremely historical was when I did Napoleonics, and then I was actually painting the units that were in each of the battles. But it's like they're still almost generic enough that they could be used in other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you get some of the grognards that were like, well, that unit painting that was not in that battle. I don't think you should
Well,
use it.
yeah. I mean, are you going to do it right or what?
Like, I'm not. I'm a poor individual that has kids, so it's like
I know.
I have a hard time spending money.
Remember the first time I posted up the very first AWI unit I'd painted, and I knew it, but I used the Betsy Ross flag, right? You know, like
Yeah.
because you have to have one unit with that. And I got so much static from these two different guys, and I got lectured on it, and I'm like, yeah, I know, and that still wasn't good for them. You know, it was like it burned their retinas or something. It was. And I just got to where actually I even left that group for a while because I was like, wow, that was toxic. I was kind of proud I'd actually done it, and I thought it was pretty, it was a pretty nice
I
looking
know.
unit, and it was like, wow, okay.
All right.
But
This is how we're going to play the game. All right.
yeah. Oh, Chris says that, which I have seen that he cuts the hats to make them look like keppies. I saw
Okay.
somebody else do that, which that's valid. I mean, well, I think once you got your smooth on, you could probably do it pretty easily. And that's what not that I'm a stickler for details, but it's just the look I have in my head for the Union. So well
Yeah.
done, Chris.
Well, almost everybody had a hat because, geez, the Union was throwing money hand over fist at stuff, so they're able to outfit troops.
Yeah.
I think it was the fourth. Was that the AWI? Yeah, AWI Kickstarter.
Yep. It says Kickstarter for AWI. Gonna be really short and sweet. He said kicks off June 1st.
All the cav is painted. 13.5 is the old school 15 mil like cut hats on the keppies. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, find me a link.
That's always one of my pet peeves, though, is the scale. It's like, at least make all 10s 10, but it's like, oh man, you always have to buy a couple to see if are they going to fit with what you have, when you go to a different manufacturer, but usually they're close enough, but every once in a while it's like, well, they can't for sure be in that unit. They could be on the table, but like you want a different command, poses for your command or something, and then you just can't find something that'll fit.
Well, it was
it's always a little frustrating.
Plastic game company there that did battle group games.
Oh,
Plastic Soldier Company.
Plastic Soldier Company, yeah.
And when they did their Modern Warfare game, that it's supposed to take place in the 80s and early 90s, they went with 20 mil. Everything was 20 mil, and like who? I don't know anybody that plays 20 mil in anything.
Yeah, Mark over here by me, he still has 20. He's doing some, is it moderns in Vietnam in 20 mil, but the Vietnam he'd started, years ago.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is. But yeah, 20 mil is kind of it's like 15 and 10 kind of took that over. And so it's like 20 is kind of like, where's that fit,
Yeah, you got to be specifically
Nowadays.
Have a group of people that want to play 20 mil to actually.
Yeah, because you're not going to probably just bump into people that are doing it in 20 anything.
That was the 38T. That was the Panzer 38T.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Grognards, yes, they can be a major pain.
Yeah.
They keep getting starter sets for cheap. People can't seem to paint all these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can find them cheap because they don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, you can start cranking out major armies. Nothing flat.
Yeah. Plus, you could always build 2 armies. Then you don't have to worry about finding somebody that's got an army.
Yeah, I have found 3 old school companies that sell minions in metal that size up well. Okay.
Oh, minis in metal. That size up well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually it takes a little bit of, trial and error, and then usually you can find stuff. But it'd be nice if you could just go on the shelf. Hey, yeah, these are 10 mil, these are 28s, but are they heroic 28s, or are they, are they more realistic 28s?
Yeah, this is, I love 72nd aesthetically. The bendy plastic that a lot of it is made of is rough to work with. So
Yeah.
it can be.
You know what I hate? I hate when you prime a model and you get your base paint on, and you get your magnifying glasses on, and you're like 75% through a base painting, and then you find a bit of flash in between.
Oh gosh, I know.
Leg in its torso or something.
So what do you do? What do you do?
I took my razor out and I cut that flash out, and I'm gonna go in and just not even worry about the primer, just put a little bit of base paint where it needs to go.
Yeah,
it's exactly
pretty much.
I've done that occasionally. If it's a spot I think is going to see a lot of handling, I will brush on a little bit of primer and come back to it then the next day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's annoying. You think you got it, and then after it's primed, it's like
it makes me feel so amateurish. Like when I actually see, when I see it, I'm like, did I do that?
What did I do?
Just makes me feel
what
blind.
did I do?
Like, how could I not see that?
It's really bad is like with all the metal ones when you got the screw gates that are, you think you peeled them all off, and then after you prime it, you start painting it, and you find one and you peel it off, and you're like this bare metal sitting there, and you go, oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask a stupid question, since I have historical folks that know more than me about history and stuff in the room. Are these so for Warhammer, like fantasy, these kinds of guys that I showed, these are like Landshanks, like that time period.
Yeah,
Landshanks,
yeah, like that's basically what this is.
Yep.
Right.
That's what they're based on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The Empire, basically in general, is that.
Yeah.
They're just basically think German Swiss.
Yep.
If Bill was here, he'd be having a heart attack.
Oh, and he could go into some more detail, which we cannot do. I can't, anyway. You basically tapped my entire knowledge on that.
Just the
Classic Soldier
just
Company
right there.
Now, all the Cold War is 1/44th now. It was 10 mil for the game. Yeah. I'm not a 10 mil guy either. It's just.
I'm going to take swing. I swear to God, I still am. I have the miniatures. I'm going to do it.
So I have a lot of 6 mil Cold War stuff.
I've never seen 6 mil in real life.
Really?
I kid you not.
Next time you're over here, I will show you.
I will appreciate that.
So what is our first topic tonight?
Our first topic is, let me bring it up exactly how I typed it out. It is work, family, hobby, life balancing.
Oh, good grief. That just gives me chills. Just like, it's tough.
Tough balancing or just being
it's tough. It's just tough balancing it, and it depends what part of your life you're in. You know, sometimes it's nigh impossible. What say you, Palmer?
Well, I agree. Like balancing it all. I don't know why, but because I can't really not do the work. Like the work part is an automatic. So the time that I spend there and the time at home that I do work, like that kind of stuff just happens no matter what. And so, yeah, like I can't do any hobbying with, because of that at times, but it's so like understood that it's not in my mind, even a competition. But then with my free time that I do have, all of a sudden, it is like a competition, of what I'm going to do. And particularly if you want to do a lot of different things, it just becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And so recently, I've been having to balance things that are totally not miniature wargaming related with health, like trying to be healthier than I have been, and trying to just do stuff like related to that.
Yeah.
And then this, and sort of kind of like all of it has to happen sometime between when I get home and I go to bed. And that doesn't include making dinner for family. So that's the family piece, because my wife, as we kind of talked about, works late and I make dinner more often than not during the week.
Right.
And then in addition to that, I usually like to watch a little bit of television with my family too. And so it becomes really hard. I find that work and family, number one, like reality is work. Family should always be number one, but work is an automatic. Like it just, my responsibility has to be there. So in some ways it ends up being number one. And then family's time is right after that. Like when I get back from work, it's there and it's always like, it's the thing that I'm going to do next. And then number three is the rest. And then with the rest, I go through phases. I'm in a phase where I'm actually thinking of doing a little bit more miniature painting, but I haven't been doing much for a very long time. I've been out on the motorcycle.
Yeah, well, you got to do that when the weather's good too. That before you know it.
Well, the motorcycle's another hobby too.
Yeah, and it's a competing hobby.
Yeah, so that's always tricky too.
But it is all a balance. And having said that, I'd also say though that probably what gets minimized is that if you don't do things to get your head kind of clear, then you're probably not going to be as good with work and with your family. Like depending on what gets
100%. Yeah.
What gets you going. You know what I mean? Like some people need a release. I'd like to say that a lot of the folks that are in the miniature hobby probably fit in that category. The ones that like to paint, at least, like in particular, but also the gaming too, because there is like the strategy and the component of social component and even just all of that has its own kind of release and stuff. And so maybe you could take the argument, spin it back and say that, yeah, like that may make sense on a day-to-day basis. But in the long run, if you're not actually doing something, Yeah,
at some point you need to take care of your mental health and that too. And that's part of that piece.
Yeah. And, in a totally unrelated space, there was sort of like a coach once that said, it may be that work and family always have to come up in front of this thing that the coach represented, like that was training you or whatever, and said, but sometimes to be good at this has to be number one. Like, and so like, and that's not like saying necessarily, this is their opinion. And that's not like necessarily saying that, so this isn't a competitive environment more like, or like a training environment, but that's not to say that they're saying that like this is more important than work and family. It's just saying that sometimes you have to take things that you always deprioritize if you want to do them well. Like you have to sometimes prioritize them. If that makes sense. And I realize with the miniature painting or the miniature gaming, that might not be, that might be an intense way to think about it, but it is kind of an interesting way, to think about something else, that, like there may be a time when, or even like with your other hobbies, like there may be times when like in order to really do something well that if you want to spend time on 2 to 3 things in your life, maybe if you're always doing like 1 or 2 of them more, if that third one is going to ever mean anything, sometimes it has to come to the front, you know what I mean? In order to actually
maintain. Yeah.
In order for it to be viable.
Right. Otherwise, right.
That's all I got to say.
Truth.
I'm going to drop the mic.
Mic drop. Palmer.
Boom.
Good night, folks. I don't know how we can say anything else.
That's all I got to say on that subject.
He cuts off the camera.
Just fades.
All right, good night, Palmer. We'll get rid of you.
I'll see you. Yeah. I'm going now.
Right, next time I have some really deep question, I'll just call Palmer. Evidently,
he's got a lot of thoughts on these things.
In 2 weeks. We'll work on world hunger or something. Knock that out quick.
If I could just remember what my answer was, I'd have it all solved. Where am I? What am I doing?
Oh my gosh.
I'd say I always think about the balancing of it. It's like when I was younger and I had the kids at home. I still got one kid at home. He left and came back, but
You're not fully in charge of him anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, he does his own thing.
Right.
You know, he's kind of like a self-contained unit that eats our food.
Self-contained unit.
But I just remember when my son was first born. You know, before that, I used to, had they say, hey, I'm going to go out and go play a game or something at the game store, or, that nature, or go to the hobby day, etc. Didn't have a problem with it because, it was just my wife and I.
Yep.
And she didn't have a problem. It's like, oh, okay, you're going away for it. I was like, I'll just do my own thing. She doesn't mind being alone. She prefers it. At times, she's like,
well, she's married to you. She probably enjoys being away, right?
Oh,
oh, come on. It was easy. I had to say it.
Well, yeah, exactly, Dan. It's true. I'll admit it. But yeah, it would be one of those things where, okay, I'll be gone or something of that nature. And my wife didn't have too much of a problem because a lot of times I was deployed someplace and it wasn't a big deal. So we kind of had used to being apart.
Yep.
Heck, our first year of marriage, I was still in college at the University of Northern Iowa, and she was here in Des Moines. So we built into our relationship of being used to not having to rely on each other all the time.
Right. Yep.
But when the kid came along, the first one, is like, boy, that was a game changer, as you well know how that works out.
Yeah. I remember.
Where you're sitting there, it's like, okay, I'm used to doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But were you able to maintain some of that through that time period or not?
Yeah, I still did. We just had to schedule it better.
Yeah.
It was like my hobby time where I'd go to my back room. I used to spend in my back room back here. That was where I did all my painting. And sit at my little table and just be quiet time back there out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes I had an audio book or something going or something of that nature.
Sure.
But then it ended up, okay, I moved out to where the TV is. I'd sit there and watch TV with the kid there and make sure he's being fine, keeping an eye on him while I'm painting. And so I got pretty adept at trying to balance that, keeping an eye on the kid and hobbying. But, maybe they both suffered. I don't know.
They don't seem too damaged to me.
No. And then when the kids got a little older, I made a point of trying to keep them involved in what I was doing, so they got involved in the game. So
yeah,
never hurt.
That worked.
Yeah, my son still.
Okay.
Yeah,
my son still plays. My daughter still plays. And my daughter still plays D&D.
My daughter's never really the funny thing is the one that I thought would be really into the stuff that I was into because she's really into fantasy and all that stuff. She is just into totally different stuff than me. So where I'm into my stuff, she's into other fantasy stuff that I'm not into, or not wargaming, but other kinds of things, cosplay and things like that. And so the funny thing is I don't have any. Having said that, my whole family likes Zombicide, so there are some commonalities where we will play that, but
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but I never was able to. Yeah, my daughters were never. I mean, one of my daughters is really into other things that I like film and stuff, but not this stuff.
Yeah, mine never were either. I thought it was cool, but they never. Yeah.
So, in some ways, was it selfish of me to drag my kids to do everything with me like that?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, so.
Well, they didn't. I mean, when they're young, they're just whatever, and then obviously they developed some interests in it. It wasn't like you were making them do it, So that's cool.
Yeah, kids are not going to do stuff they don't want to do.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be interested in hanging around with dad for a while, but eventually they're going to be gone if they're not interested, so.
Yeah, they end up doing beer drinking 101 or whatever.
I know Dan's going, but the only thing I was going to say that I kind of forgot to say that Rusty kind of reminded me of is like my situation. I was thinking about what you were saying, and Rusty, because I was kind of thinking I think that's very normal that like as like you're doing a lot of parenting, depending on what you're doing, you might do less, but then like as you have more time to yourself, like then you do more of the hobbying. But for me, it was weird because as my kids got older and there was less parenting to do, my projects and my work got more complex and responsibility became a lot higher at the same time. And so like work actually completely evolved opposite with the kids. Like I had more time in the beginning of my career because I was doing stuff that I could leave work and I could just leave work at work. And then as I got older, opportunities and things, I made choices that put me into situations where I have more responsibility, and now that actually is almost sucked, like
more of your time,
and attention, brain span, like energy and things like that. So I actually did more when my kids were younger to a certain point. When my kids were really young, I didn't do any wargaming at all. Like I'm talking about like 4 and 5 or whatever, and below. But once they were at a certain point where I was still doing a lot for them, but then actually they would go off and do their thing, watch cartoons or do whatever, and I would be painting, but I wouldn't be doing, I would have the energy because work was just totally different then. So it's weird. Like it's not almost what I would have expected.
Yeah.
I'd say I watched a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh when my kid was growing, my son, because he was big into Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's like I would sit there and paint while he was watching all these Yu-Gi-Oh stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like keeping tabs on what he liked at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if there's any right answer or wrong answer, but it seems like we're all kind of like on the same path of how things worked out.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, and it kind of depends how your life goes. But if you have similar paths, you're kind of funneled down a certain choice and what you can do and what you can't do. Excuse me.
Well, if we're all over 50 on a Thursday night painting miniatures, then we're probably all on the same path to some degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what you trying to say, man?
Trying to say, well, I mean, like whether what your work entails, if you're married, how young your kids are, those are. But yeah, because for like me in general, very similar, with some differences. But I got married. I would have graduated from college in 91. I got married in 93. And so I basically from that time period, and when we got married, we bought the farm that year and started farming on our own. So
bought the farm, haha.
Yeah, literally. It felt like it. And I understand where that saying comes from. That was the brutalest thing I've ever done. That takes a lot out of you. But anyway, and then my first child was born in 95, the second one in 98. So that whole time period there was just all about just trying to, and my wife was a registered nurse and it just started at the local hospital. So she was working a lot of night shifts because that's what you could get back then when you're starting. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of 12-hour back-to-back shifts through weekends. And so we were just trying to hold everything together, not only just financially, but time-wise. So, like everybody, they're busy that time. And I did absolutely zero hobby. And then when they got to be around that 10, 11 stage, I started kind of poking around. So, or even, let's see, 99, Yeah, actually, it wasn't. They weren't that old because it was in 2001 when I got those Lord of the Rings miniatures. Actually, started painting them. I hadn't done any
Yeah.
painting till that, but I didn't even get. I mean, I didn't get. You saw what I have painted, Rusty. That's basically what I painted back then. Excuse me, and that was about it. And then yeah, then I really just I was other than I had a White Dwarf subscription for quite a few years, and so I kind of knew what was going on, in the hobby a little bit.
Yeah.
But wasn't until my one daughter graduated from high school, so it was about 2015. She graduated in 20, 2016, and the other one graduated. Yeah, so that'd be, or no, she graduated. Actually, my first one was in 2013. That's right. So it was right after she graduated. 2015, 16 was when I got into bolt action. 2015. And so then from then on, though, then because I'd gotten to the point, like you're saying, where the kids were, the one was gone, the other one was a senior, or, sophomore, junior, senior in high school. And it was easy to keep up with her activities. And then she kind of did her own thing otherwise. So, yeah. So otherwise I didn't like painting the living room while the kids were doing stuff. Kind of waited till about that time frame, and then got into bolt action, and basically as the farm, we got that secured, or kind of financially got more stable, and the kids weren't taking as much time, that I finally, and I was needing something, because that's like you say, work, hobby, life balance. That I found that the painting for me is that's my wind down time.
Mhm.
That's your kind of
I
your
gotta
zen
have
moment.
it. Yeah, because even like my wife says now, like, because I'll get in some busy spells where I won't do any painting for 4, 5, 6 days or something. She's like, "You need to get down and do some painting because
You're starting to get
you're
cranky.
getting crabby." Yeah, and it's just because I find, and I do make it a point now. Of course, both the kids are been gone for several years now, but out of college and gone. Actually, they're adults, and so that's opened up a lot more time. So now I try to get down, like I've said before, almost every night, and even if it's only for 45 minutes. And I just that is my happy place. I forget about. I think it's painful too, like when your work is where you live. It's like I can just look out the window and maybe something actually does literally need done. The cows are out or something,
Yeah.
or water's running over across the yard. You can see when the livestock tanks, but you always see something that's like, oh, I really need to go do that. And so you don't really get away from it ever. And I don't have hired help. It's just me. So you kind of get buried in that work mode sometimes. But yeah, the hobby
Yeah.
is my escape, and just the painting, and then the games are just a bonus for me. I mean, I'd love to play more games, but I'm not disheartened by that. I enjoy the amount that I'm able to do, the collecting, painting, and interacting through, like even this group here, and Facebook groups and stuff. But yeah, I think it is important though to, like you say, for me, it's as much for just even like mental health. I mean, if I'm being totally honest.
Mhm.
Um, and another outlet for your creativity. It feels like it's one of the few things you have complete control over. You know, Everything else you sort of feel like sometimes you're kind of along for the ride. Well, especially like in farming, it's always either the nature or markets or world events or something is affecting what you're doing, and you're just kind of trying to hold it all together. But this is something I can literally control, and use your own creativity and your own. There is no, I'm not a button counter. It's like nailed it. Yeah, Betsy Ross flag, perfect, loving it. You know what I mean? So that's, for me. It's important. You need to have your something, and I preach it to my daughters. They tend to be like workaholics, and like, well, find half an hour a day where you do something it's for you, that you enjoy. Whether it's reading a book, watching a little Netflix, going for a walk, whatever it is, whatever your happy space is, then you're going to be better for your work and your friends and your husband and your kids if you take care of yourself too. So that's what I try to do, but I don't always nail that.
Yeah. Let me catch up here on some of the comments and just see what we got with here.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a nerd's nerd. He said, I had someone complain that my Weird War armored trains was too long to be historically accurate. It was a fictional vehicle. It was like,
That's hilarious.
how can something be inaccurate when it's a fictional something? There's always going to be some grognard that's going to be complaining about something.
That's always hard. Social media is that way, though.
Yeah.
What,
Eric said, I gave Mark some nice 20 mil French, Indonesian French. Paras.
He did. Mark actually did show those to me. He was pretty tickled with that whole package. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of the times I come over there, we have to get Mark involved in it.
Oh yeah. He'd love to. He's so much fun.
Has finished stuff as well. Okay. Hobby card revoked. Okay. I have some 144 heavy gear here in front of me. Oh, okay. Yeah, heavy gear was an interesting game. It's a mecha game, so
I don't know that one. Heavy gear, huh?
Yeah, it's something on the lines of BattleTech.
Okay.
We said the word bomber.
Oh my gosh, it's happening.
I drank mine. I gotta refill. This is the last of it.
Oh, you got a whole bottle there, then.
That's true. I do. Well, that's the last of what was in my glass.
All right, 6 mil. That's BattleTech scale. Yeah, it seems tiny for anything not sci-fi. Well, BattleTech used to be 6 mil, and then they changed it to 10 mil. So they supersized it. So let's see. I don't have any new stuff in front of me, but I do have this little guy here. This one's more closer to 6 mil in scale. You can see he's how small he is.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say, okay, quit falling over. And now it's like you'll go, the 10 mil will be more like in scale like this.
Yeah.
It's it's been supersized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting to the point where the models in BattleTech don't even fit on the hex space anymore, which is a pain. What is balance you speak of? There is no balance. You're just sucking one from one side to the other to find a happy moment.
He's not wrong. It's sort of like multitasking. You're not really multitasking. You're switching between two things really quickly.
Yeah. Well, I find it is you're trying to take a snapshot of life where it makes you happy at that moment.
Yeah. And
you can always look back at it and have fond memories, which is like looking at a photo.
Yeah, because you can work all the time if you want. Is that what you want to do when you're laying there, on your deathbed? And
then you have full of regrets because you never lived life.
Yeah. So, there's a certain amount of work you have to do, obviously, probably for most people.
Yeah, you got to do some work to enjoy life. And if you don't enjoy life, you got to find something that
it's a balance. Hence the word balance, right?
Exactly. I'm lucky. Wife works a lot of nights, and my kids are adults now. So that helps. So you're just puttering around by yourself.
Yeah, that's one thing. My wife goes to bed super early, so that's when I come down here is late at night because I'm more of a night owl.
Okay. Chris said he sent me links. Was that through Messenger you sent me the links? If that's the case, I can always look. Yep, he sent me the link. Okay, cool. Got it. On the phone.
What were you doing?
Trenchworks is amazing for Germans. Okay.
Oh, I have Trenchworks, and I know they do STLs they sell too, and they do have some infantry. I didn't know it was German. They have American. Their resin vehicles are freaking amazing.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to build is
They're awesome.
as much as I'd like to buy the plastic models that you can get
Mhm.
from Warlord Games for bolt action,
Yeah.
if I can print some off and just paint those up, I'd probably be happy too.
Well, especially since you got the printer. I mean, it's sort of a.
That's a fact. Mike has dropped.
Oh, that might have been back when when Palmer had his moment, and we were going to wrap the show up.
Yeah,
It was a
that's
mic drop
probably it.
moment. He's not
Shots
wrong.
fired across the bow.
Oh, that's where I was commenting about your wife. That didn't sound like I meant, like it just sounded when I said it.
It's part of my therapy. That is true. It's like I find that
For me, that's what it is.
painting is it's a very, well, sometimes it's not cheap escape.
Well, relatively, it's fairly cheap.
Yeah,
Be
what
fair.
the money I spent on the 3D printer, my wife doesn't think it was a well spent, but it's kind of like preloading a lot of my hobby expenses, which now I'm turning around and recouping it, because if I wanted to buy, let's say, this model from Sideshow, would be about $300-400.
Yeah, that's true.
But I could print it out for less than $20.
I always try to be careful not to feel like I need to justify my hobby. Like, I mean, yeah, granted, you can only spend so much, but, I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I find that painting is a very much a therapy for me, because you can tune the world out and just go do your own thing.
100%. Yeah, I get so focused in on it. I lose track of time. I lose track of anything. It's like I'm completely gone because I have to focus enough that I lose track of everything else, but it's not so much that it's like mind numbing. It's just like brain burn.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's something
Yeah,
to do.
at least for me. I mean, I know everybody doesn't feel the same way.
But that, like any hobby, you can have. Let's say I got my astronomy hobby. If I can drag all my gear out and spend a night under the stars, that's relaxing.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Or you can go fishing, spend all day, or you can spend $30,000 on a bass boat in a trailer and spend a week
pick up to pull it, and yeah.
Or
but that's fine too. Yeah,
do your thing. RV and you go explore the West. That's your summer vacation. So there's all kinds of things. You can spend a lot of money on stuff.
Oh, I know. This is basically my only real hobby, I guess, to be fair. I don't think I really do much else that I consider a hobby.
My hobbies used to be hunting, fishing, and gaming. That was my big ones.
Okay.
And astronomy. But I always find, though, once you buy the gear, then you can always just keep going.
How about the ham radio?
Yeah, ham radio is another hobby.
At the four-wheeling.
What about the rusty? What about the
motorcycling and four-wheeling?
Well, I got out of the four-wheeling. I sold my four-wheeler. So,
Palmer, do you still have any of your saltwater fish or none?
I basically got out of that hobby, and that was a long time hobby for me. But I still have a very small, tiny tank next to my desk at work.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm still kind of into it because I still have like a little one at work that I can putter with, and people come in and look at it and stuff and like it and stuff. So.
Yep. Yeah, then you can share it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the new BattleTech scaling, even if the bases can't keep up. The new plastic stuff that's coming out from Catalyst, which I just got my survey. So I just filled out my survey. That's done for the new Kickstarter. So next year sometime, maybe about this time next year, I'll be getting all the new stuff. And it ended up cost me another $80. I end up getting a little extra more because, hey, they got dice trays. I had to get a dice tray, get some dice, faction dice.
See, Eric's he's got to head off. So if he's still there, night, Eric.
Thanks for joining in.
Good night.
Yeah, good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciated. Anytime you come down to Des Moines, let me know. We can get together.
For 5 hours.
Well, he's thinking about going to the fair. He might go to the fair this year. So he's like, I know a place where you can park.
You're not wrong. You are right there. Oh, that's good.
All right. I got the comment on Facebook. I worked from home and model paint between calls. Balance achieved. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Now, the wonderful thing is that my current job is right here. I'm sitting at my job.
Yeah, I thought that. I was going to mention that earlier when you said your hobby is your relaxing escape, but it's also a little bit of a moneymaker too.
Yeah, if you are good at painting stuff for other people, you can make money.
Yep, and you've managed to figure out how to paint, fairly efficiently,
Quickly.
to a nice standard. And that's the whole key, really. If you're going to get into a for pay situation.
And Eric said good night. Chris said good night, Eric. I went in at battalion level, same as us. That survey made me realize I had no idea what I was in for. I'm happy to add the Somerset Strikers to my pledge. Yes. Let's see. I added Wolf's Dragoons, Kell Hounds, Crescent Hawks, the little packs, you get the dice, the patch, and all that fun stuff. We had all that.
Oh, yeah, so the pledge manager's been out for that, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Battle tech. Sorry, I was forgetting that. What's what you're talking about?
Yeah, we waited almost, 3 weeks to get it?
Why the holdup? Was they because it's so complicated, or they were just...
It was huge.
Okay, yeah.
I ended up getting 11 boxes for my pledge and a whole bunch of salvage boxes and a few extra things I ended up deciding I needed to get.
Couldn't live without.
Yeah.
How many shipments will that be? Multiple, or you mean not 11?
Should be all one drop.
Okay. When's it supposed to deliver?
I think it's May next year.
Okay. Are they usually pretty good on time? I mean, I know COVID screwed up a bunch of pledges for people, but...
Yeah, they seem to be fairly decent.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, we're caught up with all the comments.
Oh, that's rare.
How about we move into the next topic? Which is the next topic, painting a single large model or a unit of miniatures.
Ooh, that's right.
Would you enjoy the most?
Did we not do that one recently? I know
No.
We didn't do that one recently, huh?
Nope, that's not a recent.
We might have talked about it kind of as we
kind of talked about talking about it.
Yeah, that's
okay. That's funny. Yeah, that is funny. Do you like to assembly line paint or not? Was that a topic recently?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So our painting is like the other one was.
Do you like to paint a single model versus multiple models? Do you prefer assembly line painting or not? No, they're separate topics.
It's totally different. I don't see what you're
There's
talking.
no commonality whatsoever. Let's
Absolutely none.
Well, during the last topic, when we talked about that topic, this came up. So
yeah. So repeat it. So I just want, maybe I heard it wrong. Like, what is this one tonight? It's.
Do you prefer to paint a single large model or a unit?
Oh, so that is different. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not assembly line versus painting versus figure painting.
No.
It's actually big models versus units of little models. Do you prefer to paint flying creatures?
Army centerpiece, paint a army centerpiece large model, or do you prefer to paint a unit itself?
Do you prefer to paint flying models or subterranean models? Underwater models?
Marching
you
or
prefer
running
a
figures?
large hero or a bunch of sleeve stacks? What do you prefer?
For me, it's easy.
Oh,
I 100% rather paint a large unit.
Okay.
a large model.
No unit.
You look for
A large unit versus instead of one large model.
Yes,
Okay.
100%. Because to me, well, for two reasons. I think I've talked about it before, but I like I've never painted like just a big display, bust or anything like that, which we've talked about. And I'd like to try it sometime. But for me, part of I just can't get motivated because I'm like, what am I going to do with it then? Yeah. Plus, that would take me like 6,345 years. And so, roughly. So, because I'm like, well, maybe if I did it as a gift or something, maybe, but I'm like, I'd be proud of it and I could set it on my shelf or even in the living room or something. But my motivation partly is because, and maybe how I justify it in some weird way in my head, is that I can use these in a gaming piece with some friends. And it's like, okay, that's all part of it. And then I like the, yeah, that's a sword is bigger than most of the figures I paint. Yeah.
yeah.
It could be a pretty nasty toothpick.
Yeah. And then there's something for me about the spectacle of just a large. I really enjoy in my AWI painting those, the 24-man regiments and having those all in this big long row. I just something about that's really appealing to me. I'd like to do that for American Civil War, which we're going to do in a smaller scale. And then I've always been tempted to do that with medievals, which I'm kind of doing that with my Bretonians. So I just love that mass, all the spectacle of these large units. That's just gets me where it's just motivating. So to me, those are the reasons. And for me, it's definitely large units or just units, 24 or whatever, or larger.
So your preference is I rather paint a unit. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, you're a unit guy. Okay.
Yeah, unit guy. And, even if it's 12-man unit for bolt action, I'm about units. Yeah, I like the look of it. The uniformity is cool. Uniforms in general are appealing to me.
So
how about
you're
you, Rusty?
thinking in terms of bolt action, you would rather paint a 10-man unit of Americans than you would paint a single model of a Persian tank.
In a lot of ways, I would. Yeah. I do enjoy painting the vehicles to break that up a little bit, or just the infantry, because they all are pretty similar. But yeah, in a lot of ways. And then I feel like too, to take my vehicles really to the next level, I need to acquire and gain some skills with an airbrush, and I don't have either one of those right now.
Yeah.
But
Well,
so I think that's for me. And then of course in gameplay, the infantry is where it's really at in bolt action particularly. But I do enjoy the vehicles. But the units, oh man.
I wonder who designed this Pershing tank that I printed off.
Evidently by that question we should know.
Chris?
Well, somebody in the comments probably.
Oh, Chris did?
Chris? Is it Chris?
No, it was a nerd's nerd.
Nerd.
That's
Who
his
is that?
model.
Nice.
Okay. Does he have
That's awesome.
He prints them or he designed it?
You scanned this one off, right? Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, it has a large collection. Well, he does it for Weird Wars.
Okay.
They scanned and made a whole bunch of them for the Weird Wars. Was it Conflict 47? Is that right?
Yeah. That's the bolt action version, Weird War version.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So,
A nerd's nerd.
And basically, this one I could printed off the different barrel for this, and it would have, I think, a plasma gun I could put on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, I've seen that.
Instead of the 90 mil that pops on there.
So, what is your answer, Rusty?
Well, I'm just waiting for Palmer to answer. So.
Oh, because I went first last time. I was kind of curious, but what I would say, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not going to require any arm wrestling here. the I'll lose the the basically what I would say is I probably cycle back and forth on this a little bit, but because really, the last time when we answered that other topic that I thought was so similar until I just listened carefully, I answered, I would rather do one mini if I had the choice than a whole unit, just because I like to focus. And sometimes you just can't paint like large units practically if you want to do a lot the way you can paint one mini. And so because of that, I like the painting the small number. But when you start talking about a large model, there are times when I probably really do think that I'd like to just paint a large model, like just to be able to challenge myself and do more like a niche project, like to get my mind into another space and to do something like that. But as somebody, again, reminding myself that I'm into the miniature wargaming hobby, there's a point where I just like to paint miniatures because of what they're gonna and I'm just gonna say the same thing Dan said, what they could do for you on the table, in the games. And so I'm painting I like to paint the small miniatures overall, probably more. So the answer is probably a unit, right now. But there's probably going to be times when I'm going to reach and want just prefer to do a model that I've 3D printed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you lean more towards a unit,
and mainly just because I of the miniature wargaming utility out of it.
That's me, I guess. Basically, yeah. Now that you say that, essentially, that's where my headspace is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you think about it, if you're playing a game, the units typically are more important than the single model or hero type.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're playing Warhammer Fantasy, and then the hero can just wipe the whole table. But
yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But I have painted quite a few large models over the years.
Yeah, you really have. And even just in the last few, you've painted some large stuff.
Be honest, I love painting large stuff. I do have a lot of, it's like when you look at all my 40K stuff I ever painted, there's a lot of large models in there.
I mean, getting larger, yeah.
And just like super heavy tanks, Titans. It's like I have a lot of Titans, and it's just, even when I was buying stuff from Forge World, it was all the big stuff that I was buying, the big, large models. Because there's something about it when you put it, you put it on the table, and it's just
the
commanding.
Presence, yeah.
The sheer footprint of it, and the command of it, is a focus point. So I always lean towards the larger stuff. It's just,
that's
I enjoy
cool.
painting large models.
Sure.
Well, you do it well. I mean, I'm maybe a little intimidated by, the largest thing I've ever probably painted is like you say, other than some of these terrain pieces, these resin buildings, but like a tank. Yeah. I think part of it too is the infantry. Well, and again, coming more back to bolt action, as far as, from AWI, you've got these large, ranked up units, which is cool. But in bolt action, the infantry is what I feel like I can identify with. I can picture this guy, back behind this barrel and shooting, whereas opposed to this tank, there's guys in it, but it's almost like just a machine as opposed to human, I guess. And it just kind of draws me into the whole, just the whole feeling of what you got. It kind of makes it like you're there, role playing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, typically, if I'm looking at something use this for a game, obviously, if I'm painting for a game system, I typically will get the units done first before I start moving into the big heavy stuff.
I do too. And what's your reason? Because you save that because that's it's fun for you you save them for last because that's what you're going to enjoy.
Yeah. I always find it's to me, painting a single large model is more relaxing than trying to paint a large unit. I don't know what it is. It's just psychologically, I find.
Yeah, it's
like-
what you obviously. That's what you. Yeah, that's where you really get your love from. That's cool.
But you got to get the small guys done first.
So Rusty, what are you saying, Dan? That Rusty gets his love from large models?
Yeah, I mean that seems like that's a little bit where his passion is there. Oh my gosh, Palmer!
Yeah, large models that are
Red
about
card for Palmer.
she's about 6 foot, blonde.
Rusty gets his love from large models.
I knew exactly where he was going with that one.
Oh, there it was.
That one spiraled in. All right.
There it was.
A nerd's nerd did say it was, I don't have a scanner. It's for Dust Warfare, not Conflict 47. All right.
Okay, Dust War. That's a game that's no longer supported, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it went out the door.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was just making sure while we were talking about it.
Oh no, not plus sizes. No.
Oh my gosh, what did I do?
It's all I heard is Dan saying, "Oh, it's kind of where you get your love from." And I'm like, "What are we talking about here?"
They're Russian ladies that are plus sizes.
Oh, I can't take you guys anywhere.
Yeah, as a nerd said, community support now, common bot IP, so hopeful. All right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
It's similar to what happened with Warhammer Fantasy. Was that you ended up with 9th edition. Oh, question. What have we heard about Warhammer Fantasy? Anything new lately?
Yeah, I think there was another release. I didn't personally read it, but I watched a video they talked about just a night or two ago. They confirmed the factions. And they had a list of the factions that basically were going to have re-released old models and new models. And then all the remaining factions that were going to have like PDFs online to make them playable, but not like, and it sounded like the presumption is that if it's successful, then they would continue into those, but like, and it's kind of hinting more again towards Bretonnian and Tomb Kings for a starter set. And when they went a few weeks ago, they made an announcement and they said there would be no starter set. Well, in the end, it sounds like, yes, there will be a starter set, but doesn't mean it includes terrain. And, it's going to have like the rules and the miniatures for 2 armies, but not what GW was calling a starter. So there was all this big to do, but it sounds like, yes, there will be like some sort of a starter box that will include those 2 armies potentially. But like Skaven is one of the armies that's not going to be, and I forget the word they used, but it was not going to be one of their focused on factions, I think is kind of how they indicated.
So they're not going to release new models.
Vampire accounts was in that list of not full, they'd be supported, but not, wouldn't be getting, they won't be re-releasing the models like from that were available before they killed it.
So they're not just going to call them the neglected armies?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was, and I suppose because they had the Tomb Kings, they weren't going to, have the vampire accounts. And I forget all the different ones. I guess, for me, let's see. Those were the main 2 I looked at because that's Orcs and Goblins, of course, are in the yes list. And what else was there? Oh, the High Elves, one of the elf factions. Yeah, I can't remember, but they did have a release.
The Sylvan Elves or Wood Elves were always the neglected portion of that.
I can't remember which elves made which list. It's been a really, this should be my last, I keep saying that, my last really busy week. And then, so I didn't get to fully sort that all out, but And then it's sounding, I don't know, people are starting to lean more towards that something still could potentially come out this year. They're just trying not to release too much information until they get their, was it 9th or whatever edition, 10th or what, of 40K is coming out here.
Yeah.
June.
This summer
something.
we'll get 10th edition.
10th, yeah. So that's, sounds like they're trying not to overshadow that, but that they've got it pretty ready to go. You know, still a lot of speculation, I know, but
I wouldn't be surprised to see it in September or October.
that's kind of what some people are saying, or have it ready at least for like a Christmas release, you know, where you're pre-ordering in September for December, you know, November, December delivery or something. Let's see, is anybody else talking about any of that? Because maybe somebody knows more than I do.
Let me see here. All I know is there's no undead factions, so I'm not sold. Sure, there hasn't been an undead faction since 5th edition. Yeah, it used to be
Not
that
true undead. Yeah, it's vampire.
it used to be that when they at 5th edition they split it from just undead to vampire counts and Tomb Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not happy because they dropped a bunch of units out of either one of them, so I had an army. I had
that was disappointing. You're right, that don't fit.
Yeah.
And they were having Empire is included in the yes supported list, but they were calling it like Empire of Men or something, which I know they're going back in time. So supposedly, I don't know all the lore. You know, that was before they became the Empire, when they were kind of faction.
So you would have the Bretonnians and the Empire would be one faction.
No, there'll be Bretonnia will be its own, and then the Empire of Men will be its own. They're instead of just calling it the Empire, for whatever reason, in the printout thing, it said like Empire of Men.
Yeah, it used to be the Bretonnians used to be part of the Empire.
Yeah, but they're keeping Bretonnia separate. Gosh, I wish I'd looked at that closer now. But yes, you'll be able to find it, or I can send you a link when I do some looking in the next.
Yeah, send me a link so I can just read it.
Yeah,
it feels like for a while now they're always revealing the factions as if they never revealed them before, and then they just like change what they say, and then now it's like, let's reveal the factions.
Yeah,
reveal the factions.
Yeah,
Skaven don't exist, so no surprise. Which would suck because I got a lot of Skaven.
No, you'll still be able to play. It sounded like the impression I got was from what they were saying that they would not be releasing models for it, and they would not be. You wouldn't be able to purchase like an army book. Assuming it just said there'd be rules to play them, which is similar somewhat to what they did with AOS when that came out. You know, they had you could go online and get your. I think they might be partly because they're going to wait and see how successful it is. Maybe I don't know. I'm just it's all speculation, but
yeah,
I'm not too wrapped up in it. I hope it's successful. It's good for the hobby, you know, and I'll maybe buy some of the Bretonnian miniatures, especially any of the new releases.
That would be what I would do.
Yeah, and even some of the 6th edition ones that I never did buy, but I'm not invested in it, you know.
That's probably what I'm going to do. I honestly, I almost just know that I'm not going to like it as much as I'm like playing 6th edition right now, and so I don't really have any hope that it's going to be that great.
Yeah, I didn't like the lore of Bretonnian 6th edition, so that turned me off. I still don't like the lore of 6th edition Bretonnia. The other ones, and I liked how the game plays and all that. I mean, I haven't played it, but I like how it's set up.
But I think what it comes down to is from a game itself, I like playing 6th edition, and I already know I do, and I don't really feel like it's likely going to add anything for me.
Most people still claim that's still probably the premier edition.
Well, it's the one I've chosen to go in with and stuff, but I'm sure that I would enjoy playing 5th too. Like, in all honesty, like I would enjoy probably playing 7th or 6th or 5th, you know, like it's just that I've chosen one. I went all in and like, I enjoy it. And I don't see any reason to change at this point. And in all honesty, I've never really been. There's never a time when GW's come out with something in the last bit where I felt like, oh, this is going to be great. Like the next edition of this, the next edition of that. I've never been pleased. And
it's better to play one of these games that it's wrapped up, like we've said before. Whether you pick, you know, 4th or anything through 8th edition. Everything's out there and available, you know. and use proxies if you don't want to buy the actual miniatures. But the rules are closed. I mean, that's what it is.
Good night, Axe.
Thanks for joining in.
Good night. Thanks for showing up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard sell depending on how much that new box set will even cost.
I'm afraid of the pricing. I'm assuming it's going to
lately
be
everything's
painful.
been $200. So
yeah, and I'm just I don't know. I mean, I'll probably wouldn't buy the starter box anyway. I'd pick up a few of the models if I could find them. Some of the places sell their GW stuff at discount prices online anyway, and wait till they get it in. I'm not in any big hurry to have it.
Well, for someone like me who has a bunch of armies to begin with.
Yeah, why? Yeah. Just get the rules if you want. If you think somebody down at the store would play,
Yeah, that might be the only thing I might do is just look at buying the rule book and call it good.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to wait and see.
I do have some Brettonians. And what was the other faction in that? Was
Tomb King sounded like was the other main one that they're really focusing on.
Yeah, they focus on Chaos at all?
Armies, so.
Oh yeah, and Chaos. Chaos was going to be one of the armies that is supported. So they'll be re-releasing some of the, most recent sculpts, and then they said new miniatures for all of those armies. But the old kits will be coming back. Is what
for Chaos.
Yeah, it sounds like
but
all of these.
Like 8th edition, probably.
Yes.
Not 6th edition.
Not that old stuff, but the new.
So they always go into their most recent ones.
Yes, that's what they indicate. Yes,
that's kind of weird. So we're going to release 6th edition for one army alongside 8th edition for this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
it's just to kind of get you along until we decide to do something with it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because they don't expect they're just going to try to make what they can and move on, or if they're really that tentative they don't want to commit too much because they're afraid it won't be success. I mean, a company of that size and scope, it's a little surprising. And as much as they've been hyping this for since 2019 or whenever, that they
have to have some.
Sounds like it's going to be a pretty soft release, but they're I don't know. It's going to be tough. There's too many people. It's too fractured. People, are gonna love it, and people are gonna hate it. But people are playing 6th, they're playing 8th, they're playing 9th Age, Kings of War. They're not going to please everybody, and hopefully they please somebody, though. But
I have one question: if this has been answered or not.
Mm-hmm.
So is this going to be a book like it was in the days of like Warhammer Fantasy, where they're going to release a book, and they just release the book, and then like army books, or is this going to be like the way it's been now, like with AOS and stuff, where it's going to be like half of it's online and apps and White Dwarf and like all this stuff? Like it's going to be 4 pages we give you, and then everything else you're going to have to find out there.
It didn't sound, just because when they talked about in this last release, which I guess I wish I'd read it closer, but it sounded like those armies that were what they were calling. They weren't calling them unsupported, but they weren't focused on or something. Lizardman was in that group too. But they said that information would be available online. So it made it sound like everything else would be hard copy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to be like this, where you're going to get one book will have all the good armies in it.
See, I'm wondering if that's
and
what
one book will have all the chaotic evil armies in it, which would be like your orcs, goblins, chaos, tomb, evil, all those.
They did that with Lord of the Rings too, the new release. It's got the armies in just like a couple books. You don't have an army book for every army. So
yeah, I would prefer that. Word.
Although it makes that expensive, and then if they're going to redo it in 2 years, then you're buying it again.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not going to overly invest into it. I'm assuming, unless I'll just have to wait and see if it looks like it's freaking cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Basically, how can you decide now? We don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not counting the days for the release or anything. But I'm watching. See what it is.
We're sitting at. Is the 3 of us, we all have the old edition rule books.
Yeah, I have.
So we're not out anything. We have a bunch of miniatures.
Yeah.
And we've all said it's like maybe it's an opportune time for us to fill some gaps in our armies that we already have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially
Yeah, I would
'cause
definitely do that.
eBay prices got crazy. Whether or not this will be, I mean, it may be insulting what they're going to charge for these old kits. We'll have to see.
And they may look at the prices that eBay's producing for all these old kits and go, "That's the market value. That's what we're going to charge."
That's what we're going to charge. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Time will tell. Assuming. Sounds like it's still happening.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be, I think, 6 months to another year before we really know the answer to that one.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would think by this fall, well, at least if it is going to be next year, we'll be starting to get some more concrete information on a release date and that. But that's just from following it. I've followed it fairly closely, and that's just the feeling I'm getting. But
yeah, when you get an opportunity, you find a couple links, just send it.
Yeah, because I was getting heads up on a lot of that stuff, so I should be able to find something. If I don't get it done tonight, I'll for sure do it tomorrow for you, Rusty.
All right. Some reading materials.
Yeah, well, at least you can follow on the latest. What they're saying is fact, and then the rest is speculation.
Yeah.
Try to read between the lines.
10% facts, 9% spec.
Exactly. Well, to 11 bells, boys.
Yes, 10 o'clock here. It is time,
Oh, yeah.
10:01. And
There
so
you go.
great painting session. Got a lot done tonight. A lot of good chatting.
Yeah, same.
I
Nice.
got some paint on my bases.
Nice.
And
We'll get you. I'm gonna buy you like a 6-inch brush so you can paint that big.
You mean
or a
like
roller
brushes or
Yeah, well, even bigger than that. We got to get this thing done.
the big
Yeah,
brush?
now you're getting closer.
Those are the kind of brushes you use on large models.
Yeah,
Yes,
and that's
my dry
like,
brush
you
models.
can use that for the eyes.
For eyes, I'm using this one.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Well, good
gentlemen.
to see you guys again. Yeah.
Yes.
Is the season continuing, or are you done?
Yeah, we got at least another episode or two, don't we?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's getting close though, but we are still. We kind of started a little late and had a little gaps towards the beginning. And a lot of times we do take some time to get into the swing of things, and after the summer, this year especially, I think the last couple of years, but we usually kind of make up for it at the end, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Yeah.
Good
Thanks
night,
for showing
everyone.
up. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Chris. All right, so we'll let's see, we're in the broadcast here. So we'll see you in 2 weeks over on Palmer's channel. Let's see, this is 25th, so
Yeah, where does that get us?
8th, I think.
8.
That should be good.
I think it's the 8th.
Perfect.
Night, Tim.
Yep. Night.
I
Night,
do have
Chris.
I have something where we're going away on a weekend in June. I'll have to just touch base with you, but I don't think it's the weekend we're talking about, but I'll confirm it.
All right.
Perfect.
Let me know.
Sounds good.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll talk to you all later, and we'll see you in a couple weeks over on Palmer's channel. Good night, everyone.
Yep. Good
See you,
night, everybody.
Okay. Bye.